Hey, it's 12:30 in the morning, and somebody out there really wants a reading from me. It's been 2 nights of this, so you got my attention. The song I'm channeling is, I can't even remember the name of it, but it's, um, I found love where it wasn't supposed to be, right in front of me, talks some sense to me. Hopefully you know what that is. All right. Let's see what you need to know from me. Why is it so urgent that you had to wake me up at 12:30 in the middle of the night? Obviously, it's about love. I love love, though. And that song is definitely finding love when you weren't expecting it. But I think it's more than that. I think it's not just about finding love where you weren't expecting to find it. I think it's also realizing that love is different than you thought it would be. A lot of times when we're younger, our idealism around love is very influenced by our parents, or by an idealized version of what romance is. And then as you grow and mature, you realize there's some things that you thought was love, and it's actually not healthy, because you start to reevaluate how your parents loved you or loved each other. And you're like, wait a second, that wasn't quite as amazing as I thought it would be. Or the story that you spun in your head. Something about it is just not quite the way you thought it would be. First card out, the Star. I found love where it wasn't supposed to be. Page of Pentacles. Right in front of me. Talk some sense to me. Let's see if I can talk some sense into you. The Star, we've talked about that before. It's kind of like the star at the end of the tunnel. Hope. Calm, healing, faith, purpose. Clarified by the Page of Pentacles. Manifestation, reflection, financial opportunity, skill development, ambition, desire, diligence, news, possibly information. The Page of Pentacles is on foot in the picture, which means it's slow moving. I think that's why it talks about diligence. And this is just kind of the concept of like moving towards the thing that you want in a slow and steady way. And what you want is something that gives you hope, gives you faith, gives you purpose. Hopefully you can hear the owls out there. Next is Wheel of Fortune. Good luck, karma, life cycles, destiny, inevitable fate. Right in front of me. Death. Death always sounds ominous as a card, but it's actually a really good one, especially in the upright position. Because, and it's very like Scorpio energy. Death represents endings, but it also represents rebirth, because you don't get to have a rebirth without an ending. You don't get to have a beginning without an ending. So Let me see if I can read it too. Change is incoming. Perhaps you need to let go of an unhealthy relationship. One major phase of your life is ending, but that opens the door for new beginnings. Let go of uncertainty and allow yourself to start anew. And I think I've heard a lot of talk about Scorpio and Pluto, and water, and all that stuff. So I think there's some like astrological shit going on right now. Endings, beginnings, change, transformation, transition, metamorphosis, end of a cycle. Ooh. These are great cards. Sounds like somebody's growing. Somebody's skill building, working diligently, slow and steady, turning their wheel of fortune in the right direction, allowing something to end that needs to end so that something new can begin. That's nice. What's it got to do with love? Not this one now. The Empress. There she is. Oh. Let's hear everything. Oh. I think the world of her. Isn't that nice? Abundance, nurturing, fertility, feminine, good parenting, development, accomplishment, growth, evolution, and action. But then Queen of Wands in reverse. Introverted, self-confident, selfish, jealousy, insecurity, narrow-minded. Okay. So, there's an Empress. But she is closed the fuck off, isn't she? Selfish, jealous, introverted. Page of Cups in reverse. Emotional immaturity, insecurity, disappointment, creative blocks, frustration, irresponsibility. I feel like that's how you feel about your progress towards this Empress. That there's blocks, frustration, like in the upright position, the Page of Cups is like new love, news, messages, curiosity, happy surprise, dreams, possibilities. But it's all just like stalled, not moving anywhere, blocked. Could it be that this person has you blocked? Why would they have you blocked? Let's find out, shall we? Delays, frustration, holding off, waiting, panic, slow down, missed opportunity, lack of energy. That's 8 of Wands in reverse. So it's double confirmation. Blocked. Frustration. Ain't no progress. But those first 4 cards that were coming out are all about progress. It's just slow. It's just slow. I think you're impatient. King of Swords. There you go. Head over heart, discipline, truthful, honest, mental clarity, authority, leadership, reliable, sage of ice. King of Swords is showing that you are in command of your truth and you stand to present yourself with confidence and conviction. Others respect you and pay close attention to what you have to say. The appearance of this card may also suggest you may need a mentor, perhaps a financial advisor or a lawyer or a therapist. But I have a feeling that's why you're out here, or pulling me out here in the middle of the night, looking for a mentor. I get it. I don't have a mentor. And it's not because there aren't amazing people out there. It's just like, I think it's just my personality. I just don't like people telling me what to do. I don't like people telling me that you gotta do it this way or you gotta do it that way. I just want to figure it out myself. I want to figure out what works for me. It's served me well so far. Plus, I learn fast. And a lot of times I get frustrated because it's like I'll learn the lesson, but the lesson keeps droning on. And I know when it comes to the universe, a lot of times that's the case. Is it's like patience is part of it. But I'll take that lesson from the universe. But it's hard for me to take it from anyone else. That being said, I just signed up for like a meditation class, which is kind of cool. First day is next Thursday. The Hermit. So you're doing it too. Soul searching, introspection, contemplation, wisdom, truth seeking, being alone, inner guidance, meditation, consciousness. Aren't you and I quite the pair? So you go in looking for guidance, looking for how to find your way out. All right, let's see what we can figure out for you. Knight of Wands. Whew, good thing that's Knight of Wands in reverse. Ooh. Anger, scattered energy, delays, frustration, reckless, impatient, conflict, stress. It's like impatient teenage boy. Throwing a tantrum. I would consider that tantrum energy. Because Wands is like fire and passion. Knights are fast moving and, passionate, riding on horseback. So like in the upright, this is very like Leo energy. Energy, passionate, inspired action, adventure, movement, fearless, sexy, impulsive, charming, unpredictable. I think that's how you fancy yourself, honestly, if I know who I'm talking to. But in love, reckless, prone to conflicts. Only when you take somebody actually seriously, huh? Like in love, romance, you argue. If it's just a fling, you can be quite charming. But you're trying to learn this about yourself, aren't you? I think I got 2. 10 of Pentacles in reverse and Ace of Cups in reverse. There it is. So that behavior led to a staggering emotional loss, friction, arguments, lack of stability, misfortune, theft. I think that's what you're trying to overcome. Is that part of you that's that kind of like wounded teenage boy who needs to grow, who needs to become something more because your Empress got you blocked. Scattered energy. Scattered energy to me means a lack of integrity, lack of predictability in your behavior, lack of follow through. A lot of times, if you're trying to grow, what ultimately is required is accountability. And if you know this about yourself, that means you're trying to be accountable, which is good. That's the start. I can hear those owls through my headphones. They must be loud. All right, let's see. Taking accountability. Then what? 8 of Pentacles. Oh, diligence. See, look at this dude. There he goes. He's got his 8 pentacles and he's just sitting there and he's just working. 8 of Pentacles, maybe telling you to chase after education. Whatever it is you're doing, you're working hard to master it, knowing that the dedication you have will pay off in the long run. Okay, good. Positive potential, skill development. Emotional regulation is a skill, and it takes practice. The start of it is obviously being aware of your emotional volatility, let's say. Being aware of where that comes from and dismantling it. We don't want to shame it, because if you just shame it, you'll just bury it and it'll bubble up later. You want to take it down to the studs. You want to take it down to where it came from. So like this Knight of Wands in reverse, if we're talking about this kind of wounded teenage boy energy, a lot of times you learn that. So if you're a guy, you probably learned it from your father, where he lacked emotional maturity. He lacked accountability. And he somehow always wound up getting his way. And then perhaps maybe you're in social circles where that type of behavior from other men is pretty common. It might be a culture. It might be like a cultural thing. And so in order to dismantle that, that requires a lot of introspection around social patterns and personal patterns. Because if this is in regards to someone who's an empress, she's not going to take that shit. You know, like a wounded feminine would, but not an empress. You can't even approach her in that kind of energy. She'll smell it from you a mile away. So that's why this 8 of Pentacles is here. Diligent. You got to dig. You got to look for it. You got to dismantle it. Because all of these behaviors come from somewhere. They come from somewhere pure. I'm the kind of person that I don't really believe in evil. I just believe in distortions of love. And so the distortion of love for something like that might be like that somebody needed love and they realized that part of how maybe the love that they got wasn't super healthy. And so they equated love with attention. And they would get attention by throwing fits. Throwing fits. Hopefully you can hear me. My voice is kind of tired. Throwing fits. And as an adult, they never really matured out of it because it kept working. You know? They would cry and I'm so sorry. And this isn't fair. And why me? And then someone, most likely a wounded feminine, would swoop in and rescue them from their feelings and tell them it's okay, I'll be here no matter what. But with an Empress, you get 8 of Cups in reverse and 10 of Pentacles in reverse. You get blocked. What is that? Page of Cups in reverse, 8 of Wands in reverse. She says, no, thank you. You handle your shit. Show up right. When I see Ace of Cups, so it's like, can you see this? So Ace of Cups is the single cup where the cup rolls over. A lot of people talk about cups as in like new love, but the way I think of it is I think of the cups journey as the single cup represents you. And what you have to learn is self-love. self-love in a sense that you fill your own cup and you give to others what spills out, and you give to others who help replenish that cup. Now, to somebody who's an overgiver, they give to others before they fill their own cup. But then for people that are takers, they take from other people's cups and use other people to fill their cup, which is false. That's also unhealthy. And that's where this Knight of Wands in reverse comes from. This is behavior that comes from immaturity, where you fill your own cup with other people's energy, with validation from external, with attention. But attention is not love. That's why you feel empty at the end of the day. Because you're not filling your own cup. Let's see, where do we go from here? Five of Wands. Competition, debates, rivalry, conflict, disagreement, strife, tension, territorial, clashing, egos, petty. You're still struggling, huh? Excuse me. Tensions are high, and you're in the midst of conflict, competition, or change that is impacting your ability to move forward. Maybe that's why we're having this conversation right now. You and the others involved are unable to find common ground. Everyone is fighting to be heard, and yet no one is listening. Calm your storm and listen to what the others have to say, even though it may not be easy to do. Try to be open and encourage productivity. Now it's clarifying the Eight of Pentacles, which is that diligence, hard work. You're trying to repair a conflict, aren't you? I can tell you, if you were treating an Empress with Knight of Wands in reverse energy and Page of Cups in reverse energy, which is that emotional immaturity, that didn't get anywhere, did it? That's why you're trying to be Page of Swords, though, or excuse me, King of Swords with the Hermit. You're trying to go within. You're trying to summon this logic. You're trying to head over heart. You're trying to be disciplined. You're trying to be truthful. You're trying to be honest. You're trying to cultivate these things in yourself because you understand now that you have this Knight of Wands energy and you have this wounded boy energy about you. And it basically destroyed. It's not only taken away your ability to self-love in a way that actually fills your cup, but it also took away, so like Ten of Pentacles is like financial success, really like having it all, but like having it all in the 3D. And you're not able to have it all right now. You know, like maybe you did in the beginning, because that kind of fit throwing energy can get you stuff in the beginning because it's, you know, it's passionate. It's got a lot of energy to it, but it's not sustainable and it's not respectful. And especially if you're growing and maturing into a man, excuse me, or as a man, nobody tolerates that shit anymore. Oh, my light just went out. Oh. Lights out on that energy, I guess. We're done with that, huh? We are done with being Knight of Wand in reverse energy. Three of Swords in reverse. That's exactly right. So, Three of Swords, as you know, is that terrible heartache So 3 swords straight through the heart. Ugh, absolute hurt. But in reverse, it means we're coming out of it. We're coming out of that grief. The swords through the heart. So in reverse, it's a card of forgiveness, optimism, recovery, and moving on. I don't think you want to move on. I think you want to repair. So let's look a little bit about that. Starting to get the feeling I should change decks. Let's do one more to clarify. 3 of Swords in reverse. And then we'll move on over to the next deck, okay? One more, baby. One more. 3 of Swords in reverse. We're moving on from what? Moving on from what? Just take this. Moving on. 4 of Wands in reverse. Conflict with others. Lack of support. Breakdown in communication. Home conflict. Transience. Your heart's broken in more than one way, isn't it? Through this discovery, through assessing your Knight of Wands in reverse energy, this emotional immaturity, this wounded boy, you've had to dismantle a lot in your life. You realize that this came from toxic love that you learned from a very young age, likely from your parents. And so you've probably distanced yourself from them, which is hard. And then there's probably friends as well that you're not talking to anymore, that you used to talk to, but they perpetuate these same behaviors and these same habits. And so you're distancing yourself from them, but also they're falling away because, you know, if you surrounded yourself by other people who fed into your cup in this way or perpetuated this behavior and you don't anymore, they probably don't want to be around you now, which is a good thing. They're like, you've changed, you're different. You're like, yeah, the fuck I am. I'm growing up. It's a good thing. Fuck them. But it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean that your heartbreak doesn't entail more than one area of your life. That's why we got that star at the beginning, the star at the end of the tunnel. You feel like things are falling apart in so many different areas. And you've got this one focal point that you're trying to keep your eyes on so that you can stay hopeful. I think of transience as well. I think that you're somebody who moves around a lot, stays in hotels a lot, lives out of suitcases a lot. You kind of pride yourself on being at home anywhere. But that was one of those things when you fell in love where it wasn't supposed to be. Once again, that song. You realized how incompatible your life was with the love that you actually wanted. Because of that wounded teenage boy energy, you thought that the love would take the place of the love that you wish that you had received from your mother in the way that you wish you had received it. Ever supporting, enmeshed, taking care of all of the things, all of the behavior that helped contribute to a wounded boy energy. And so you realize now that that's a mom. You know, like, you want an empress by your side. And all of a sudden you realize that you weren't the emperor you thought you were when you actually met this person. And this person wasn't an empress when you met them, but they were probably still pretty, pretty up there. If they're an empress now and you're still in night energy. All right, let's move on. So I'm going to do the archetypes and see kind of, how about, since you're so concerned about your empress, let's do both. Let's see where you are and see where she is. And then we'll get some advice cards from there. I can never shuffle these things. Let's see. So difficult. Okay. So first we'll see where you are in your journey, or what you need to be viewing this as. Advice, maybe. Whoa. I got 3 out here. The forest, the vision, and the comet. So the forest is this concept of having to go into a forest where things are not very clear, and it's also mysterious. And then I want to read the vision. Hold on one second. Okay. The vision, excuse me. It is said that we are each born with a unique vision, a destiny towards which we are aimed. It is also said that we forget this vision the moment that we are born. Thus we are sent on a lifelong journey of rediscovery. Such is the elusive nature of the vision. It slips away, yet it guides. It appears in strange dreams and surreal images, seemingly unattainable and preposterous. When we are connected to the vision, we carry an inspired, enchanted aliveness that others recognize. We trust the world and its synchronicities. We walk through new doors into wondrous opportunities. We all want to be near those with vision. They emit energy more potent than any elixir. When we lose connection to the vision, life becomes dull and exhausting, lacking meaning. Bring back the mystery. Bring back the dream. And then the forest. Let me read you the forest because I feel like this is relevant. Okay. Consider for a moment your earliest memory of the forest. It likely included all the mythic dynamics of the archetypal space. A little fear, a little enchantment, enchantment, perhaps losing your way, perhaps discovering a secret mystical treasure. Such is the magic of the forest. It requires first that you enter it and then that you get lost within it. You may think there is a path to lead you straight through, but soon enough, you'll be on what is known as the pathless path. That's where you're at right now, huh? There are tricksters here, dense foliage and entanglements. But equally present are the glimmers of fairy lights and friends among the trees. You're on an adventure now, and there's no turning back. So embrace the dim light and the moving shadows, whether literal or imaginal. Brave the forest and get lost getting found. And then with the vision in the comic. So I think what's going on here is you've entered the forest where you have a vision, or at the very least, you have the understanding that a vision was given to you, and maybe you don't have it now, but you're finding it. You sense it. Who knows? Maybe you're getting downloads about it. That would be cool if you're recently activated. I know I would. This is getting like downloads about what my purpose was once I got activated. And some of it was just like so fucking big. Like I remember one of them. I started to get the download and I freaked out. I was like, no. And I just like ran inside and distracted myself. I don't know what that was. But anyway, in this vision card, I'm attracted to these owls. But also, in the middle of the vision is the mountain. And inside that mountain is a person. It always reminds me of that book, The Mountain Is You. And so it's kind of that idea, is this vision leads you back to yourself, like internally, into your true oneness. And that's where you find your vision. That's who you have to become in order to obtain your vision. And it starts by going through this forest. And this forest requires discernment and maybe trusting in things that seem magical, things that seem unreal. And then the comic reminds you that it's good to have a sense of humor. It makes things a little bit easier, but also don't use humor as a negative coping mechanism, you know? It's okay for some people to know that you're struggling. It's okay for some people to know that you're finding your way and that you're doing it in a new way that you've never done before. Hold on. I'm getting like a bunch of storage notifications. Let me clear off my phone. Okay. So yeah, I think the thing about the comic that I just want to talk about, I don't really like the card very much. I just think it looks weird. But like, it talks a little bit about using comedy as a inappropriate coping mechanism where you're always kind of laughing things off. And usually that happens from childhood trauma where you had to like minimize the shit that you're going through. I think it's okay to acknowledge when things are hard. It's okay to be open, that you're feeling a little lost. It's okay. But the trick of it is if you're around people that just want to tell you what to do all the time, you just got to be cautious of that. That's where that discernment comes from. But you have that King of Swords energy in the Hermit, which means that you're going in and you're listening to yourself, which is good. I think when I think of comic, I think part of what in this row here of the forest, the vision, and the comic is when you're lost in a forest, your guiding light should be what fills that cup of yours. Not just what feels good in like a dopamine hit kind of way, but what actually nurtures your soul. And those are the things that should guide you. So like I've told a story about, like listening to music or knitting or, reading books and that type of thing. Like the things that just you enjoy for the sake of enjoyment, not because they give you that attention that you're used to seeking to fill your cup, but because you're filling your own cup. So what is that? What does that for you? What fills your own cup for you? And it could be, just sitting and talking with friends and having like a really good heart-to-heart conversation with somebody. It could be, going on a hike, getting out in nature, especially if you're a city boy. Maybe it's time to be more of a nature boy for a little while. Get lost in those woods. Like go into like literal woods and like, I don't know, go camping. I know like Matthew McConaughey like he has a book and I think he talks about like that every so often he'll go out on this like, I don't know, journey, vision quest, whatever the fuck it is, where it's like he'll spend like a few days, a week camping, like out in nature all by himself. And he'll just like meditate and go deep and like think about everything, think about the world, think about himself and just kind of recalibrate himself. And it's mostly just, I think for a celebrity like him, there's so many people pulling you. Oh my God, my cat keeps, there's so many people that are wanting you and pulling you in different directions and telling you what to do and telling you how to look and how to feel and what your image should be and what your brand should be and blah, 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 blah. And I think it's good to get rid of the noise, get rid of the phone and technology and just turn it off for a while. Turn off all of those pushing and pulling influences, especially if you're the kind of person that attention normally fills your cup and you're drawn to that because it's such an old habit. So it's instilled in the back of your mind constantly because that's what you learned when you were growing up. And so going out into nature, but remembering that those things, it's supposed to feel awakening. It's supposed to feel like it's lighting your soul up. It's supposed to make you happy. So, oh, that's right. I said that I would get the other person. All right, let's see what they're in right now. Boonk. Oh, my headphones just turned off. Hold on, I gotta check. My headphones just made noises. Okay, I think my headphones are starting to die. It's the middle of the fucking night, dude. The Destroyer. Oh, shit. What is that? Let's see if there's anything else that wants to come out. The Crone. Oh, this is an Empress. Anything else? Ooh. Agape, the Venom, and the Unseen. All right. Let me pause for a second, read these, and I'll give you interpretation because I don't want to read all of them to you immediately. Okay, one moment. Okay. I kind of have to read these to you. All right, first off, the Destroyer. The Destroyer is the final of 3 archetypes in the trio of existence. It has necessary yet painful work to do in the world. Culturally, we have an aversion to endings, and we hang on to permanence as a signifier of success. Yet the destroyer pulls the rug out from underneath relationships, jobs, homes, and all forms of security. It's the part of us that wants things to end. Its painful orientation is to uncover our true purpose. The destroyer does not let us linger long in comforts, as it knows not much happens in that realm. With its piercing eyes, it seeks our stagnancy from a distance, and the rest becomes history. In the myths, this is the moment when heads begin to roll, the ground opens up, and castles crumble. Hold on for the ride. The destroyer has arrived. And then the crone. And so, like, the destroyer is the last of the trio of existence, and the crone is the last of the trio of the feminine: the mother, the mate, and the crone. I don't think that's a coincidence. The crone has seen it all. Nothing frightens or surprises her. She is the final manifestation for the feminine trifecta of mother, maid, and crone. In her long life, she's witnessed endless cycles of death, sex, failure, rebirth, conflict, and regeneration, giving her the ability to rise above the world of duality. She laughs at the notions of good and bad, right and wrong, as she has seen the earth churning, smoldering, taking life and giving life. The crone energy accepts everything in, devouring beauty and suffering with the same mouth, using their energy to reveal hidden secrets and knowledge. Her energy resides in all of us, though it is feared by most for its power and unconventional relationship with death and the macabre. Awakening the crone is dangerously rich and unapologetically magic. So these two cards together. One moment. Okay. All right. So I had 3 other cards that came out. And so I just wanted to read on those. But I feel like these first 2 are that person, the crone and the destroyer. And both of these cards kind of talk to, see, like the crone has that crow. And then this one, see those eyes in there? So both of these are kind of like I feel like it reflects kind of that Empress energy. But this is how it presented to you, in the sense of being like, shook your world. I found love where it wasn't supposed to be, you know? And it's destroying things, but it's destroying things that need to be destroyed. The next card that came out for you was the Venom, toxicity. Things that need to change. Things that deplete you instead of fill your cup. Toxic. Venom. Clarified by agape, which is, it talks also in this card about going out into nature and worshiping something that's different than what you currently worship. So, like, if what you're currently worshiping is God, maybe try worshiping the earth instead. If you worship yourself, maybe try turning to a higher power. And then the last one is the unseen. And I think that speaks to that kind of forest energy in the vision, where there's things that aren't known, and the path won't appear until you just walk it. You don't always get to know where you're going, but the vision comes And you'll see where it is eventually, but you don't get to know your timeline. All you know is that it's going to take time and diligence to get there. The crone is somebody who is confident in their power, who knows themselves, who is encompassing of both the maiden and the mother. They're nurturing, but they're wise. They have firm boundaries. They're innocent and fertile, but also in a calm way, in a measured way. And if they're also coming out as the destroyer, that means they are a walking tower moment. That means this is happening to lots of people in their lives. That this person is walking around, interacting with other humans, and turning their worlds upside down, whether they mean to or not. Sorry, my cat keeps making noises. I think what I want to say to this is, I think when we look at the crone and the destroyer, I feel like this is kind of how, stop, Chester, stop. I feel like this is how you view them, as this like both amazing and terrifying thing. But they're just human. They make mistakes too. They also have venom. They're also working through agape. They are also navigating the unseen. Don't assume. Sorry, my cat is getting really frustrated with me. He says it's time to go. Don't assume that they know everything. Okay, come here. Psst, psst, psst. Sorry. Don't assume that they know everything. Don't assume that just because they see far and they see much, that they see all. Glimmers may come, but they are also working through their toxicity. Just because of the Empress doesn't mean they're feeling like an Empress every day. They don't mean to be the destroyer. They just are one, because apparently that's just how God made them. And they navigate the world that way. Give yourself some grace. If they knocked you for a loop, you needed to be knocked for a loop. Get rid of the venom. Get rid of the toxicity. Start centering nature a little bit more. And work on your sight. Because if they are in this energy, that means you have it too. If you hold them on a pedestal because they seem so powerful, you wouldn't connect with them unless you had that in you too. And that's what you're trying to find. And as you evolve and as you change, if she's a crone and a destroyer and an empress, she'll just be waiting for you on the other side. She's not lost. It's just out of reach. And you're going to have to work to get there. I love you.